We can probably start.
Okay.
if you
Yep.
want, right? 7 o'clock.
All right.
Yeah, I'd say.
Let's call the Western Reserve Board of Education meeting to order.
Roll call. Melissa Potts,
Present.
Brian Benyo,
Present.
Richard Blevins,
Present.
Mark Halls,
Present.
Lisa Powell.
To the Pledge of Allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Begin with the Treasurer's recommendations. It is recommended that the minutes of the March 12, 2015 regular board meeting of the Western Reserve Local Board of Education be approved as mailed to each member in advance of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Benyo,
Yes.
Mr. Blevins,
Yes.
Mr. Halls,
Yes.
Mrs. Potts,
Yes.
Mrs. Powell.
Yes. It is recommended that the March 2015 financial reports be approved and the March listing of bills be approved as mailed to each member in advance of the meeting.
I'll second. Mr. Blevins,
Yes.
Mr. Halls,
Yes.
Mrs. Potts,
Yes.
Mrs. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Benyo.
Yes.
It is recommended that the voluntary student accident, sickness, and football insurance be renewed with the National Guarantee Trust Life Insurance Company administered by Love Insurance Agency for the 2015-16 school year.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Halls,
Yes.
Mrs. Potts,
Yes.
Mrs. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Benyo,
Yes.
Mr. Blevins.
Yes.
It is recommended that the following resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor be approved. Did I read all that?
Those are on the second page.
Okay,
They
so
just
there.
want to see that.
All right, there we go. Operating is 42.90 mils. Permanent improvement is 2.5 mils. Facilities maintenance, 0.5 mils. And bond is 7.0 mils.
So this doesn't mean that we're not up for another levy yet?
No,
Right, okay.
This is just our regular budget we have to send to the county
Okay.
auditor for next year's tax.
All right, so moved.
Second.
Mrs. Potts,
Yes.
Mrs. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Benyo,
Yes.
Mr. Blevins,
Yes.
Mr. Halls.
Yes.
Move on to superintendent's recommendations. It is recommended that the following tutor contracts be non-renewed for the 2015-16 school year in accordance with Section 1.0605 of the Master Agreement with Tower. Stacy Mercer, Jennifer Hood, Donna McBurney, Sarah Stamp, Kent Knopf, and Catherine Ruffroth.
This is the tutors that we have every year. We non-renew them. Then as needed for the following year, we hire.
Okay, so they might come back if we need them.
Possibly, yes.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Benyo,
Yes.
Mr. Blevins,
Yes.
Mr. Halls,
Yes.
Mrs. Potts.
Yes. It is recommended that Claire Fernando's limited contract for a long-term substitute be non-renewed for the 2015-16 school year.
She was the one that we had subbing for Annie Moore, and we had a letter from Annie that she intends to come back from her unpaid leave of absence. So because we've entered into a long-term subcontract with Claire, we need to make sure that we non-renew that. And she's been informed of that already. So.
I'll second.
Mr. Benyo,
Yes.
Mr. Blevins,
Yes.
Mr. Halls,
Yes.
Mrs. Potts,
Yes.
Mrs. Powell.
Yes.
It is recommended that the retirement request from Diane Byers be accepted regretfully. Diane has been a teacher at Western Reserve for 28 years.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mr. Blevins,
Yes.
Mr. Halls,
Yes.
Mrs. Potts,
Yes.
Mrs. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Benyo.
Yes.
It is recommended that the retirement request from Jay Clark as a teacher be accepted effective June 30th, 2015, and to consider his request to be rehired as a teacher to be effective September 1st, 2015.
So moved. Second. Wait, what is this?
So we're not agreeing for him to come back.
We're
We're
not
just
agreeing to rehire him at this point. We're just going to consider his request. He's going to retire. He wants to do a retire-rehire. And he's one of those that falls into that time frame with some of the changes in STRs that would be beneficial for him to do that. He's not ready to be done teaching. So with the industrial arts program that we have, it's fortunate because it's difficult to find a teacher to teach those
How many
types of
years
classes.
does he have?
I think this is 30. This year is 30.
Yeah.
Well, then it wouldn't affect him, his retirement.
Before 2015, there's something that is,
Yeah, she said there was something.
yeah, September 1st of 2015, there's
That
something
is 30
else that
years.
goes into effect.
He can't retire yet.
But I know that's what that is.
Mr. House?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
And we have, there's so many days that we have to advertise or hold a public meeting, about rehiring, so that's where we're kind of falling into that time frame. And that's why our next meeting in May and then the following one in June, that we have to pretty much keep scheduled to get those things all done in
The
place,
next meeting.
should that be the direction we go with that.
The May meeting will be the public hearing.
Okay. It is recommended that the student lunch prices be increased for the 2015-16 school year as per federal reimbursement requirement attached as follows. And I
That's a
read-
handout that you guys should have that looks like a spreadsheet kind of look. And basically, it's a calculation that's done based on a number of lunches paid for monthly. And it's a federal calculator that you go through, you plug in the numbers, and it comes out and basically tells you that you need to charge for lunches at a higher rate in order to gather back or gain back so much money. The options are broken down, and I kind of explained that in the email, but basically option 1 is raising elementary and middle school 10 cents, which would be from $2.55 to $2.65, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
265.
And the high school lunch would go from $2.80 to $2.85. And you can see, if you look at that step 3 at the bottom of each of those sheets, it shows you what, based on the option or the amount increased, what those lunch prices would end up being with the increase. And again, it's something we have to do. Last year, I don't have my notes with me.
You said really there's not a big difference in the portion size? I mean, it's very similar.
No, it's a shame because you see some of those little kindergarten, first grade kids with those big
Yeah.
toasted cheese sandwiches, and like we laughed the other day when you give a kid like that, you cut them one of those wedge sandwiches and eat 3 bites without the crust.
Exactly.
And they're dumping those things away, but that's part of the
Bite right out of the middle.
federal lunch program.
They're full.
My suggestion was to look at option 1. That keeps the price ranges fairly close and doesn't have a wide gap between the high school price and the elementary or middle school price. The other
Not bad,
options.
At 5 and 10 cents.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty good for what they get.
And if
Yeah.
the portions are that close, I agree to keep them kind of
Yeah.
closer
So
there.
that's the 3 options. And
Still a bargain.
it's something we have to do, because
Yeah.
that's part of the federal guidelines. So there's the 3 options there, and we just need to fill in, which one you think is suitable.
But really, what's all aside from the...
Option 3 would end up having 3 different prices for lunches.
Right.
That would
For
be
each
chaos.
grade,
I'd say
which would
option
be kind of
one.
Let's just go with
confusing.
option 1.
Yeah.
I think that's-
Option 2 gives you a 35-cent difference between the price of the high school lunch and the price of the K-8 lunch.
It's kind of more balanced with option 1.
That was kind of our
Yeah,
thinking.
I agree.
Option 1?
Yeah.
So moved. Second.
Okay, Mrs. Potts?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. House?
Yes.
It is recommended that the board authorize the superintendent and treasurer to advertise and secure bids for the purchase of a school bus.
So moved.
Second.
This was we talked about this for quite a while and try to keep a rotation of getting rid of some of, an older bus and still having a decent spare bus or two and coming up with a new one. So we'll go ahead and advertise that and get some bids. And probably won't take delivery of that until after July 1st, but get the ball going on it.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes. It is recommended that Shannon McBride be added to the certified substitute list.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
It is recommended that the memorandum of agreement between Western Reserve Local Schools and Youngstown Mahoning Valley United Way be approved for the 2015 pre-kindergarten summer readiness program.
And we've done this for several years, and Debbie can kind of fill you in real quick.
Yeah, they do it. We have usually Katie McDonald and Amanda Whippo do it this year because Katie is getting a new family, and she's not going to do it. She's getting married, and so she is not going to do it, but Brittany Rothbauer is going to do it with Amanda Whippo. And they have the students that are coming into kindergarten, but they also have ones that struggled in kindergarten. They invite them back, and they do it 3 days a week, and they start in July, and they go the whole way until right before the beginning of the school year. So it's good, and United Way pays for that whole program, so it's nice for them.
Win-win.
Yeah.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
It is recommended that Teresa Muka be hired as the golf coach for the 2015-16 school year as per the salary schedule in effect.
Teresa and the other coaches listed in 10, 11, and 12 were all coaches we had last fall. We had a pretty successful fall, and recommending that they all be returning to their positions.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
It is recommended that Kevin Conway be hired as the cross-country coach for the 2015-16 school year as per the salary schedule in effect.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
It is recommended that Andrew Hake be hired as the head varsity football coach for the 2015-16 school year as per the salary schedule in effect.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes. It is recommended that Jennifer Lorenzi be hired as the head varsity volleyball coach for the 2015-16 school year as per the salary schedule in effect.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Do I do this, or do I do... Okay. Then if you want me to go to
What
the
are they
other
doing
page.
next? Are they doing the demo?
Sure, whatever you
Policy
want.
stuff?
Whichever you want.
I don't care.
I guess do your addendum.
That's what I'm asking. You tell me. All right, we're moving to the addendum. It is recommended that the following be hired as athletic workers: James Prosick, Edward Smith, Logan Moff, Alexander Hall, and Timothy Kohler.
Again, these are the ticket takers, and with track season coming up, and working some of the track meets.
I didn't know that was the younger. So moved.
Second.
I know, I'm stupid.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes.
Mrs.
Yes.
It is recommended that the agreement between Western Reserve Local School District and Cantor and Associates to assist with the MSP cost reporting for the periods of July 1st, 2013 through June 30th, 2014, and July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2015 at a cost of $1,900 per year be approved.
What is
We've used them every year, but I haven't been able to find it in the minutes before it's being approved. They help us with our Medicaid reimbursement audit. And the past couple of years, we've averaged a reimbursement of between $11,000 and $16,000
Okay.
for their help.
And how much do they charge?
$1,900 a year. So
Okay, yeah, that's good.
That's a win-win.
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
It is recommended that Hope Coleman be granted a one-year Treasurer's Secretary Accounts Payable contract effective August 1st, 2015, as per the Treasurer's Secretary Salary Index in effect.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
It is recommended to approve.
We added one.
Yes.
We
Yeah,
they hand-wrote one.
They hand-wrote me some stuff,
We need
sorry.
to,
Oh,
Let's have-
we need to.
Dave, you want to go ahead and present? Dave Harris is here to give you an update on the track resurfacing proposal, and he has the specs, and the motion that we're looking, or the recommendation that we're looking to add would be based on what he tells us to go ahead and advertise and secure bids for the track resurfacing project, that we can get that going.
I have these to look at real quick. Pretty basic. The track layout is what it is as far as the layout goes. I met with Mr. Zabchuk last spring, looked at it.
Yep.
And he keeps handing them around. I'm trying to be helpful. I was trying to just give you one and move on, but you wouldn't keep it.
So you don't get one.
Always a problem.
So the track surface has some extreme wear in some cases. It's been on now for 13 years.
So, yeah.
13 years. There's some areas where there's some depressions that have formed, and the base underneath may be giving way, but that's really hard to tell until the existing surface gets stripped off and we can take a look at it. So the drawings there pretty much just call out the existing conditions and the demolition that's required, a couple different conditions that occur. And then the new drawing just calls for the new surface, really the specifications, and I have a couple book specs there, but they still need a little tweaking. We're close. For the next few days we'll finalize these things, but calling for a certified installer to bid this. They need to be accredited by their national organization, and they need to do everything to match the state school standards and the layout for the track and everything. The couple, other than just the track itself, the fence along the south end, we're looking to relocate that just out a little bit because it's so close to lane 8 that it is a problem for, one, in running on the track, and two, the fence posts have heaved and it's actually bubbled up into the 8th lane of the track. So from the gate right out there by the little timing booth around to where it straightens off by the bullpen on the southeast corner, we're going to move that out a couple feet. So take the existing fence, patch all those holes, and move it out a couple feet so we don't have that problem with the new surface down the road.
Yeah, some of those posts have risen probably 6-8 inches in front of the concession stand. It's not a problem right now, but certainly when we redo the track, they're going to need to be addressed. And rather than trying to redo the same holes, just a little bit, because when people stand along that track, that fence right there,
Closer to the stand,
just a little bit.
concession stand?
It actually won't start in front of the concession stand.
Bottleneck there.
Yeah.
Here's the concession stand that'll stay. We're just going to move from starting to this
Oh,
gate.
okay. This way.
This right on the curve there.
Right in front of the stand.
At the concession stand, no, not as part of this project.
And the other thing, and it's never happened, but that fence, that's the only place where, between the home stands and about the scoreboard, is the only place where somebody could really reach out and grab somebody while they're running. And, it's never happened, but, but on certain races where they're staying in those lanes, some of your distance races, they are allowed to change lanes once they get started. But some of those relays that are staggered starts, and we've never had that happen, but not that we're going to necessarily keep them so far away, but that fence is really right on the track on that curve. So we're just going to get a little bit of room along that edge.
The other thing
there.
that happens too is something you don't think about in staying in those lanes and running the hurdles. Running the 300 hurdles on that turn. Some people get a little wild with arms and legs, and the fence so close. And I've seen people do that before. I've seen people hit the fence, and then that can cause problems, obviously. And just for the structural integrity of the track, because the way those posts are lifting, they're actually affecting the track surface. So, what we're going to do for the base material, the asphalt and the base underneath, is we're going to ask for the contractors to supply unit costs in the bids. So a unit cost for the surface coat, the base coat, and the aggregate base underneath, because we don't know how much area may need to be replaced. It doesn't seem as if there's going to be a whole lot, but we just really don't know until we get that surface off of there. And then, so we will have a unit cost, a per square foot cost. If there's an area that's bad, they'll have to cut it out and patch it in and redo it. But again, I don't think it's a whole lot of area. There's a few at the northwest corner and that turn out there. There's a few areas, but again, it shouldn't be a whole lot. And really, the best way we do that is a unit cost, so that we can hold them to some number when those areas are identified.
We also felt that the long jump and the high jump areas wouldn't need resurface. They're still in very good shape. The only thing that ties with that, the other thing we discussed, was going with black on the track. It's quite a bit of savings instead of the colored. I forget.
What's that?
Might be a little bit, but
I mean, I was thinking about drawing heat to a black as far as the wear, the summer, would it?
I don't think that has an effect on it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But the difference, do you recall the difference in cost? Did you look at?
I don't recall. I know there was some difference in cost.
Substantial, $50,000 to $75,000, I think.
It should be painted after it's installed.
It's-
They get color.
It's in millimeters, but it basically converts to a half inch is the actual rubber coat, and then there's a 0.3 or 3 millimeters. It's called a structural polyurethane spray that goes over top. So that's really where your color comes.
And that's the color that comes with that too.
So
Black's cheaper.
Yes,
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Is black the only one that's cheaper, or is there like gray?
Black
cost
is
too?
Yeah, I think any coloring you get into
Right.
the cost.
black is
any
your base.
coloring, because I believe most of the rubber is black, so probably what you're getting is a clear coat that holds all those rubber particles on. Any coloring that's added to it then is a cost, and it was pretty substantial. We had obtained costs from 2013, I believe it was, just to get a ballpark, and it was quite a bit higher. I can get you the specifics on that
The difference, yeah.
from what it was from 2013, but that's what we talked about as far as, like I said, I want to say roughly $50,000 to $75,000 is the difference in cost from a black.
50 to 75,000 for the color?
Let's go from black to red. Yeah. Apples to apples as far as.
Did we have the money 13 years ago?
I think, was it?
Did you
That
paint
wasn't
it?
our department.
I thought it was
Were you guys out there
Chuck
on board
knows,
then?
he
You guys
didn't
are probably
know.
out.
Chuck didn't know.
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah, I can't see that.
I didn't spend that much money to.
No wonder everybody likes our track.
Yeah, and you know what, and I think it was kind of promoted as being red, but it's really kind of a
Pinkish.
rust.
Like a terracotta.
Yeah.
Terracotta.
Terracotta, good.
Yeah, it's an architect.
Nice.
Fashion
There
designer.
you go.
But otherwise, you know, the intent is to put it
Does
the
everybody else
same
around here have a
type.
black track? You know what, after seeing ours, I don't remember.
Quite a few do, I think.
Most of
Yeah.
them are black.
Jackson's new one is black.
Somebody has a blue one. Who is blue? Forget who.
Ravenna probably has a blue
Maybe
one.
that's where it is.
They got a blue field, or they used to have a blue field.
Yeah.
I think they turfed it green finally after it was blue. I think many of them are black now.
I can make some calls and verify the cost of them.
Austintown, is their track black, do you know, I think? Salem, I think theirs is black. Poland, I'm not sure what theirs is around their new field, if they have a... Springfield's is black, I think.
Springfield's is.
Springfield's is black. Boardman's
I
Is
thought
that blue?
Poland was blue too.
could be.
I saw blue somewhere.
Yeah, it could be Poland, too.
You want me to make some phone calls and verify the cost difference?
Yeah, if you, more currently, but like I said, I know I've got
I can do
something that came to Jeff Marty a couple years ago, and it was quite a difference.
I can do that, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
So what's the action of it?
So they can secure bids. We're doing, recommend to approve the advertising and securing of bids for the track resurfacing project.
So moved.
Okay,
The one
Mr.
thing we
Hall.
are going to do, with Mr. Gatchuk, we're going to coordinate these dates. Your next meeting is coming up on May 14th. We're going to work these dates and try to get these bids in a few days before that, so we can have the bids in, take a look at them, make sure everything's in line, and then hopefully there'll be a recommendation made that meeting.
14th then, and that way we can, because
We've
we've
got
got a window to get that done.
Yeah, you got to get that done, and unfortunately, the way that it works, everybody wants their track done between,
Oh, I'm sure.
June
Sure.
and August. So we got to get it approved and get it in the schedule.
And how long does it take from beginning to end? Say if you have good weather.
Really not that long.
I don't-
I mean,
It's very long.
it's not very long. The one variable is going to be that unknown surface underneath, because they'll have to cut and patch and let that cure a little bit before they come and surface over the top of it. And this is a little bit different because it's not just a track surface, so we do have the fence that has to be done. So the one thing that we're going to have to watch with the bidding contractors, there's a lot of companies out there that all they do is just track surface.
Or are you going to join bid it, or are you going to separate it?
We were keeping it together right now because we also have the possibility of the asphalt repair underneath. So they're going to have a couple different subcontractors involved for the fence, for the asphalt repair, and then the surfacing. So we were leaving it together, felt it would be easier to do it that way for everybody involved, you guys, and one responsibility.
They would sub out the asphalt work and the fence work.
Yes.
The company that would be doing the track.
Right. So, but we'll coordinate those dates. Looks like we'll probably be advertising here in the next week or so. Advertise for a couple weeks, drawings out, bids due, like I said, probably
June, May,
somewhere in that range, a few days before your meeting. So,
And then hopefully have a recommendation at the May meeting to accept the bid, and then we can secure somebody and get a date and go.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Mr. Blevins?
See?
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Halls? Mrs. Powell? Mr. Benya? Yes. Okay.
Did you get the right one?
Now, do we want to go back to this for the next
These are the policy readings, yeah, let me give you.
We're going to go back to the policy reading.
We need to get back together.
You remember back in December, we approved an updated new policy manual with all the changes.
Oh, yeah.
Already there are a few more. In your packet, there's a couple different things there, and we'll just look at the first section that's paper clipped together. That first one is a new policy, which is career advising, and so that's one that we'll need. We'll need two readings, so we won't approve any of these tonight. This will count as the reading for that, and then the others are revisions. Like I said, that career advising policy, that's required by law, so that's why we're adding that one. That's to take effect for next school year. We don't need to actually read that policy, I don't think, do we? Just reference it.
I mean, they have to read it amongst themselves.
Right, but I mean, it's doesn't have to read it right now. Just quickly going through the revisions then, and I've anything in red is eliminated, and anything in yellow, highlighted yellow on these is what's going to be added. So that first one there with the evaluation of professional staff, that's changing all the time, and that is in reference to measures of student growth levels as it applies to principal's evaluation, and now it's just kind of a little bit more generic terminology. Remedial instruction, the kindergarten through third grade, it used to be you had to by September 30th of each school year. Now it just is annually, needs to be done. And it is done early in the year, but it's just one of those things. September 30th is really we haven't really had too many issues with doing that by September 30th, but it just gives a little bit more leeway. And that's the same thing on that reading skills assessments and intervention guarantee, IGBEA as well as IGBEAR, and it's simply just a change of date, and then once we take action, I'll get that updated. On the athletics, we've added a thing on page 3 there regarding the media and being on the field of play, and again, some of those liability issues. We've got some parents that want to come down with their camera and take pictures, and the next thing is they're on the field or on the floor, and so we're going to make that just for our
local television and media outlets.
Not just football, for every sport?
Yeah. File JEC on school admission. There's a new law that's in reference to protected children, and I tried to find out just what this was. And again, all these changes come from OSBA, but I believe a protected child, as defined by state law, if there's a situation of domestic violence or abuse or neglect, and somebody says, "I'm getting out of here," they leave everything behind and they want to enroll their kid. We don't have to have everything that day that they come. So that was about what I could find on that. Same thing for student attendance accounting, except we're required by state law at the time of initial entry. So it's just to give some of those people that are trying to, find safe harbor from bad domestic situations, that they don't have all that paperwork with them. That's not something they think of when they...
They don't have to miss.
Right.
Yeah, they can
Yeah.
skip right back
So,
into it. Yeah, that's good.
KG, KGR, and then I realized when I was looking at some of this, KGE will have to add to the list. That's all. Now we no longer refer to any use of school facilities. It's now school premises. So basically all I've done on those is any place the word facilities was, changed it with premises. Facilities kind of gives the connotation of a building, and we do have some that use the fields, and 4-H was out using for the Easter egg hunt, so just kind of cleans that up. And I used our rental agreement form that we used, cleaned that up to be consistent with that. So that's why I didn't realize we were adding KGE. But the only new policy is that IJA on career advising. The rest are really just some minor changes, but those minor changes mean then I have to change the whole makeup of the policy manual, and after we burned CDs of the new policy manual in December, now those are kind of obsolete. But that's probably going to be a quarterly thing every 3 months, because if you remember, we are paying OSBA for that update, and it makes it really very easy. You get that stuff, and they have our policy exactly as it is with the things striked out and what to add. So those are the new policies. So we can stop on the rest of that folder until we get through our other reports, if you'd like.
Do you want to do the community?
Yes.
Do you want to go ahead with your question?
Oh, yeah. How do grades affect a student's eligibility as an athlete?
All extracurriculars are the same. They must be passing at least 5 full credit classes or the equivalent for the preceding grade period report cards.
Who monitors that? Mr. McGlynn, not the coaches?
No.
Yeah,
Well, they monitor it in season and
Yeah, the coach monitors in season
Check on
with Mr.
grades.
Melito, and then once you get to the report card, in fact, I just finished them last week, you check for the spring sports kids to see who's eligible and who's not. We lost a couple. We didn't lose a lot, but we did lose a couple.
with the grade book system that we use on the computers, we have created teams of rosters for the coaches, and they can actually access those kids' grades from their computer instead of running around asking everybody what the grades are. So, they monitor it, and by the end at the end of each 9 weeks, once the report cards are posted, then that's when those grades are looked at. It's basically Ohio High School Athletic Association, but we apply it to all extracurricular activities.
So all
Our athletes here are 1.0. and
Band,
5
drama club,
passing classes.
all those things that are after school.
Phys ed does not count as a passing class unless you've gone beyond the 2 courses. And the phys ed conditioning is to half credit, does count towards that, but that's 11th and 12th grade. That's per the state OASSA to do that.
Is band extracurricular at Western Reserve?
It's kind of a gray one because they do have a class. It is a class that they get a grade in.
I was going to say, because according to state standards, it's written into the standards, isn't it?
Yeah.
Marching band?
Yeah. Well, we have like jazz band and some of those that are outside the realm of the concert band and marching band class.
So marching band you have to maintain just like you would a sport?
We talked about this with the drug testing too, didn't we? Because we said, with marching band, is that part of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we check marching band that way, no.
No?
It's part of critical.
because it's part of the, it's a class. So that's part of the class is marching. So you can't keep them from the class.
Were all the spring sports, were they all drug tested yet? All the athletes for the spring sports like baseball, track?
No, I just got the rosters last week and finalized all those, went through the grades, eliminated a few, and then that'll be coming up shortly.
And then like football, will those kids, they don't know ahead of time when they're getting tested as a group, do they? You just
No, I'd
say...
have to kill you if I told you ahead of time. No, nobody knows until, other than the company and myself, and I usually will let Jeff know the day of the testing.
And if your child turns up positive, do you call the parents and
I
tell them?
already called the parent, yes.
It's
I
all in that
contact
drug
the parent.
policy we referred you to last time. I don't know if you looked at it.
I contact the parent,
It's all in
and
there.
we have to get them into a rehab program the first time, and then the second time it would be the percentage out of the sport.
So the second testing, though, you're swabbing now, right? If they have trouble.
We can swab, we no longer have to wait. They've added the oral swabbing to our testing, so those kids, and we're going to try it this next time with the random, we're going to try and do every other one a swab. It's the same price, it's a lot quicker, it's a lot...
So would you go forward with that for the total?
It's the same, we can.
Instead of doing the urine test? I mean, what do you think?
According to Great Lakes, it's just as efficient as far as picking up the drugs.
Seems to be easier.
They do they have a device where they can do the screen right there.
Instant, though.
And it's a device that they patented. They put right into the urine or right into they put onto the swab. And it'll tell you exactly if the level's correct or not. If it's not, they then will take it to the lab to test.
So the swab you could do instantaneously too?
That's what I don't know. That's what I was...
Yeah, the swab is something they recently come out. It's in our policy, oral swabbing. The swab is, we used it last time for those kids who could not go that way. Then you're sitting there waiting for hours and hours, sometimes 2-3 hours. Now that we can swab it, it's a lot quicker.
Is that an instant test on the swab like it is with the urine, though? That instant reading?
Yes.
They do that?
Yeah, they can dip it, and it tells you right away if the numbers are off. They'll take it and they'll test it to see what it's further. So they can tell right away. That day when they leave here, he can tell me whether they all have passed, or we have to fill out a form for those kids who've not passed, and I sign it, and they take it and put it with the lab test, and then he'll send it back the numbers once they test it. It takes them about 3 days to test it and send it back. But I found it, and talking with them, we wait sometimes. Some kids can't go, and sometimes they have a lot of schools they're dealing with. And he tries to double or triple up with schools, so he's got to go somewhere else. Or if he has to go down to the Career Center to get some of our kids, which he does. Swabbing was just something that Zach and I talked about last time, Boris, who is the representative for there. And it's something that, because it's in our policy, I thought, I'm going to try it.
That's great.
Yeah, because I don't have to wait. And those kids doesn't, can I go get something to drink? No. Instead of buying water for them constantly.
Right, it seems like,
And I thought about that. Now in the spring we'll have our 15 randoms, and then right now we have 21 new athletes who have not been tested yet at all throughout the year. We'll end up with about 152 kids tested out of our 172, I think, out of our 200 kids who have been tested in sports, which is quite a few kids involved in activities. Yeah. And that also includes everyone else, all the drivers.
Do the cheerleaders get tested or they consider sports?
Yep, cheerleaders get tested.
Extracurricular stuff.
And they go right in the randoms as well.
So that's good. That's good. Good.
And I do have them check the randoms sometimes, because sometimes we have such a small list. Try not to let someone get tested 3 months in a row.
Yeah.
So we'll go back and...
I know that happens.
He gives me an
First year
alternative
he
list.
started it.
He'll give me a list of
Once we got it 3
alternatives.
times.
He'll give me 15 randoms and then 10 alternatives.
They should play the
So if a
lottery.
kid's been picked 3 months in a row, we'll go to the alternative list
Okay,
and
that's good.
pull an alternative out.
thank you. I know I'm concerned with that because I just want to keep up with the credibility of it. I don't want it to fall under the table. I don't want to be made mockery of it. We worked hard to get it. I just want to make sure that it's followed through. And the secondary testing, I want to make sure that's followed through because I'm adamant about having this work because it's.
Well, one of the reasons I went to the swab is there's so many new things out there now. Kids are able to take that urine and wear it every day. They can wear it every day, and and if they're going to take a test, they can use that urine, and it stays warm because it has to be 90 degrees.
Down below a temperature, though.
It has to stay 90 degrees. Some of the new things are out will keep that urine at 90 degrees on their groin. And being that you can't go in and check it. I got the gloves in my office, but I'm not. You can't go in there pants and check it. But the swab takes that away because now you don't have to worry if someone.
And you're right there doing it.
You're right there doing it, and even though that you're watching them, the company has someone who watches them give the specimen. Still, you're not right in front of them at a urinal watching them do a specimen if they have a device. It's amazing what people and different parents and things will do to get through drug testing. Look at the athletes, what they use at the pro level to get through it. So if they want more money at their disposal.
I still think that if they test positive the first time, they should be made to sit out. Because it's...
Well, that's not the policy. And
I know,
we've had discussions about that, so this isn't the place to bring that up.
We did. We went round and round.
Our concern was the embarrassment of the kid and the family that first time. Everybody makes one mistake.
That's
true.
And
we're going to provide counseling to them and give them help. Second time, then you're going to...
Then
people are going to know.
Because we didn't want it to be neon sign. We wanted to help kids to make it. Everybody makes mistakes.
Give them a chance.
And we're there to make the kids.
We're not there to catch anybody. We're there to keep them from
point
using
finger,
it.
we
And if
wanna
they do have
help
a
them
problem,
and-
we want to fix
Yeah,
it.
when something happens and they can repair it.
That was the whole intent of it. So that's why we're real strong about
Get them
that.
help.
Right.
And other than Zach and I, no one knows until the morning of the test, and I let Mr. Morgan and I'll let Jeff know as well.
I know the policy. I just want to make sure. Again, it's our credibility. People ask me things, and sometimes I don't know how to answer it.
Well, quite honestly, one of the reasons that we went to that swab too was the rumors that you hear happening at other places.
Yes.
Rumors you hear happening maybe here. So we went to a thing that's a little more foolproof. So it doesn't matter if you want to.
Right, and thank you for that because the rumors fly.
If you want to do that, then you can welcome to wear that. And keep your thigh up to 90 degrees all the time. But we're going to swab you and make it a difference, I guess. But it's amazing what parents and kids will do. It's just amazing.
Nothing shocks me anymore.
And you never use them again.
Thank you for that.
All right, let's move on to building reports.
Well, happy spring. She pointed to me first. She did.
She's on the list first.
She pointed to me first, so,
K through 5 first. Ladies first.
Yeah. I told you that our two little girls had raised money for the library. They made their presentation March 18th, $250. We will have a brick in the Tri-Lakes Library over at Jackson Milton. It's in the newspaper. It's in the roundup. And so that was a nice thing that they did. Two little third graders, they've been working on it for a year. So that was wonderful, what they did. We have another group that has raised money for the rescue mission. So they will be giving them $138 on April 14th. So we have some activists. We are in good hands. We have really good young people. The Easter Bunny came to town on April 2nd, hopped right on down the hallway, passed out candy. Actually, the Easter Bunny got a little overheated and had to sit down in the hallway. The children came to the Easter Bunny. But anyway, that was a nice send-off for the kids right before school.
We've got a busy week.
Was that?
It's a busy week.
It's a busy week. That Easter Bunny, you sent Mrs. Bunny, actually, to do that work. On March 26th, my YTV actually came in and videotaped each one of our classrooms saying the pledge. So if you watch in the morning, there, and you can go on their website and see what classes on when, but they are saying the pledge. Our kids are, and they did such a great job. They did a really good job from kindergarten through 5th grade, so it was fun. We had a good time with them. Let's see. I have to tell you that Rich Hedrick has done something really kind of fun, and the kids and the teachers have loved it. He did he's doing the Cleanest Room contest, and it's really for kids to pick up their big stuff. And so at the end of the month, he buys pizza for the cleanest room. And it's really, like I said, he still wants sweeps and gets all the little stuff, but he was finding like bags of pencils and, I mean, lots of stuff that the kids just didn't pick up. So he did, so we had our first party, and it was funny because he said, I have 2 rooms that were really good. Do you mind if I do 2? And I said, no, I don't mind if you do 2. And he said, well, there's a 3rd one that's most improved. So he did 3. So we made big awards, and we put them on the door at night. And then the kids came in the morning, and their teachers, and then they saw that they were the winners, and they were all hooping and hollering in the hall. And then he even had one little girl that he said her desk was like Pigpen's desk, and he put an award on her desk. And so it was wonderful. So it helps him, but it also motivates them to keep things picked up. So he's having fun with it, and the teachers are having fun with it.
Who did this again?
Rich Hedrick, one of the our janitors at night. Yeah, so it is fun. And so he went in. He said, "No, you have to be there to talk to these. I'm not talking." But so I went in, and with him when he brought the pizza in. But he went around and talked to each of the kids and told them thank you and how it helped him and the whole thing. So it was good. It was a really nice thing. Yep. We have a couple of things coming up. We have archery that's going to start. They've been asking for that back, and Steve Scott has his own on-target outfitters now down in Canfield, and he's just been so busy. But he's going to start on Monday, starting this coming up Monday. Also, the dairy program that we use, it's really, I don't know how they determine that, which milk program we use. This one that we're using now, they do all kinds of classroom programs for free. So they're coming in April 17th to work with kindergarten and 1st grade on just like healthy choices when they eat, and on 2nd and 3rd grade on, why milk is good, why you need healthy choices in your food. And then finally, we are going to camp May 6th through 8th. The 27 high school kids are going with us as their buddies, and I'll let you know how that goes.
Hiram again?
Hiram House? Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be a good time. They're coming back early. The high school kids are coming back early because it's prom. So, they'll have to get ready for that. But it was fun last year. It's a good camp. They get really good quarters. I don't get quite as good quarters as they do, but I have a 1970s throwback. It's like right from that 70s show, the cabin that I stay in. They get the new one. Nothing. I was a little girl in the 70s, but I was good. Yeah, a little girl in the 70s. But it was good. Yeah.
It's 4th and 5th grade?
What's that?
4th and 5th?
4th
and 5th grade?
No, just 5th grade. Just 5th grade. Only one. It helped us having the high school kids go because we have to pay it's a flat rate or per student. We have to pay up to a certain rate, and we have such a small group this year, it was going to cost a lot. So with the high school kids going, it really helped us a lot too. So they will not be. Are they excited?
Yeah, Hunter wasn't at first, but I think he kind of is now.
Yeah, they've gotten to know those kids this year, and I think they were a little awkward with each other at the beginning, always around. But I think now they've gotten comfortable, and they really.
The little brother now has to go too.
Yeah.
Hunter takes the one brother. The little one wants to go too, so he has to take both of them.
Oh, really? He's adopted children now.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, but it'll be fun. It'll be a good time. The girls, because we only have 14 girls in the 5th grade. What we're probably going to do, the way that the cabins are set up, is there's a commons room, and then there's a wing and a wing, and there's actually 2 hallways off the wing with a bathroom between on each side. And we'll probably have the high school girls on one wing and the elementary girls on the other wing. The boys, there is no chance of doing that. We have all boys in that 5th grade, so they'll be in 2 separate cabins, and we have enough parents to chaperone both cabins. So that's it.
Well, do you want to go shopping?
Anybody's welcome.
Thank you.
No, we're going to Camp Hiram House. It's nice. It was nice, yeah, and it's closer.
Are you going, Doug?
Yeah.
You know?
I'm finished. I'm stepping the sidebar here, but yeah. You go ahead.
We just had a couple things last month. Towards the end of the month, the 8th graders went to the Mahoning County Career and Tech Center, did their orientation tour to see what kind of programs there were. Even though some of them did not want to go, when they came back, they found out that, hey, we had 3 or 4 who said, hey, I can go into welding and really come out with a 2-year license and then go to school and go work and make good money. And it was good because they saw some of the opportunities out there that are available to them with the different programs the MCCTC has. So that worked out really well for them. Danielle did a great job with that. Our first round of testing, I have to compliment our teachers and Danielle and Greg, because as much of a pain park testing and the OBCAs are, the air testing, they did a wonderful job getting all that ready. There were snafus, and there's always going to be problems with that. Where we're going with park, who knows? Whether it's going to come back next year or not. It's in the legislature at this time, so who knows? Right now it's a $50 million investment by the state, so who knows what they're going to do with it. On April 1st, we had our National Honor Society induction. We had 18 new students added to NHS. Our featured speaker was Jim Tressel. He did a wonderful job with that. Jim was always willing to come out and be part of different communities. He's totally different than some other people that have been down at YSU. He stayed a little bit longer than he intended because he was going to another speaking engagement. But he was very willing to do pictures and sign autographs for people and do different things. He had a nice speech. We tried to get him for graduation, but he was booked already. So we snagged him I'll get him next year for graduation. We'll snag him then. On April 16th, our Planet Earth students will be going to the Akron Zoo. So that'll be a day trip for them. Kind of reinforcing what they did. We had to wait because of the weather, so we waited till second semester to actually take the kids to the Akron Zoo. On April 20th, we start round 2 of testing. With the English testing that day will begin with high school. And our NHS now is involved with the Second Harvest Food Bank. They'll be working with them, doing collections and working down, doing service hours at the Second Harvest Food Bank. We're also in process of working on mentoring program for high school students with junior high students. And right now I have several students, Brian Benyo, Kyle Hillis, Matt Mace, and Tim Kohler right now working with junior high kids. More in a STEAM situation to try and get them, their kids who have behavior problems and don't have that strong male role model at home. And these guys are doing wonders with these kids. It's great. They're with 5 different kids right now, and it's made a big difference in the kids. So we're working on that. Hope to expand that more next year. My junior kids, I told them, you got those same guys next year, you're not getting rid of them. So I've been able to give those guys 2 or 3 kids. So it really is working out well for that. That's it.
Anyone from Tower or OC or PT, any reports?
No.
Tell the big guy.
I just have a couple things that were in that folder. One that at the top says Core Energy, K-O-R-E, Energy. This is a program that they will pay us if we reduce our energy consumption at requested times. I want to give you this and look through it, and then we'll probably have a recommendation in May to do this. Essentially what it is for the 15-16 year, they'll pay us up to $14,000. There would be a maximum of 10 interruptions of our power, and it's from June 1st through September 30th. And you've all heard about the electric grid and when there's heat waves going on, everybody's air conditioning at 4 o'clock, and there's that maximum consumption of energy. What they would do is they will contact us, for example, and say, can you shut down some of your air handling units, reduce your consumption between 2 and 5 o'clock on such and such a day, and we have our generator even, or we can say, no, we can't do that. We've got a football game tonight. We're not doing that. But there'll be a maximum of 10 times. Most of them, if we do even have that, would be during the summer when we're pretty much down anyway. The agreement is a 3-year agreement. We would get up to $14,000 the first year. I'm looking on page 5 with the amounts there under Schedule A. $4,500 the second year, $4,500 the third year, and then to be determined the fourth and fifth year if we were to stay in that. So it's something that, that RKS Consulting, which is the company we hired to do our HVAC and geothermal, if you remember, that was they've done a great job with us, energy efficiency and some of those things. He recommended, he said there's other schools that are doing it, and typically they don't even get asked to shut down their power. But in any event, there's a heat wave and a huge demand for power, not even so much in this area, but it might be the East Coast. And they can, they can transfer that energy, and they get these businesses and institutions doing that says, yeah, we can do that.
That's how you make the money. Like if they actually do the shutdown, that's how you earn the money. They don't, like if safety sign up and there's no shutdown, then you don't really earn anything.
That's exactly what I was saying.
I'm not sure how that goes.
Okay.
But I think for the most part, being part of this, you get that money. Now, if you refuse, then you might get knocked down a little bit. But for the most part, that money would come to us who would participate in that program.
Even if they just cut it off
Yeah.
one time.
Is to, a building, instead of running the air in the summertime, 24/7, they ask for so many hours when it's down. And then they monitor that, and you get paid by that. If they don't pool your energy.
And like I said, I'm not asking for a recommendation today. To kind of look through it and see if any of you are aware of it.
That is.
The way it reads like they're going to pay you.
Yeah, I believe that's how it is.
Yeah, that's what I read.
Yeah. And that Ryan he's been very helpful with the efficiency of our heating and cooling. So, in his opinion, it's not going to create a burden on us if we shut down for 4 or 5 hours, especially if it's in the summer when we're not really in this building anyway. My concern with September, they come Friday night and say, shut it down and we got a football game. Our generator doesn't do anything for our lights.
Right.
And he said, no, if it's something that you had going on, graduation day, no, we're not going to do that. So, like I said, I just wanted to give that to you to kind of look through. I thought it seemed like a pretty good thing, and it came highly recommended from him. And I just talked to him. He was in here early this week or last week, I think, and got some information from him on it as well. So, okay. Also included in the packet I gave you was some stuff that Mr. Melito had typed up regarding the College Credit Plus counseling form. We're trying to get one thing that will cover whether a kid wants to take all of the College Credit Plus classes here, wants to do it on the campus at YSU or Kent Salem or any of those, and try and make it an all-encompassing document. So that's the part of the reason for the length of it, and trying to cover every part of that. So that's something he's going to use as a counseling form. The last thing I want to bring up is Moody's Investor Service called about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, regarding our bond issue and our bond rating. And they were looking to downgrade our bond rating from an A1 to an A2. So we talked to, where was he from? From Wachovia.
It used to be Wachovia, now it's Stifel.
So we talked to him about, what do we need to do to talk to this guy from New York that was going to basically make a recommendation for our bond rating. So we got coached a little bit. We had a conference call.
The guy from New York had no humor.
Yeah, we did invite him to come in.
I know, I don't know.
Your bond rating is just basically for investors. That rating that you get is an indication of how reputable and how solid your institution is.
Credit.
Your credit and all that.
Why would we move down? Have we had?
Well, they were looking at the whole area of Northeast Ohio with home foreclosures, businesses going out of business, tax levies, having a difficult time passing tax levies. So we had about an hour plus that we conference call with this guy in New York to kind of promote our area, talking about our levies, how successful they've been,
our bond issue, that we're, we're in
Passed on
good
the
shape
first
on
round,
that.
yeah.
We have we're at the floor on our millage, so home sales are pretty steady here. Typically, a home goes up for sale, and it's not up for sale for a long time for the most part. People are looking. Our open enrollment was a positive. A lot of people coming from good school districts wanting to come out here. All in all, what ended up was he suggested that we keep our rating at an A1, went to committee, and the committee that he spoke with in New York reaffirmed and said, yeah, we'll keep your bond rating at A1. So I guess we did a good job of selling it, and between the financial information that Kathy had and the help we got from the guy at Wachovia, so that was kind of
So will they come back like every 5 years, like a 5-year?
I would say 5 years. He says he's
evaluation.
going to look at it every year, but they hadn't looked at it since 2009.
Right.
So
The bonds we have outstanding are fixed. This would only potentially affect future issuance.
if we refinance.
refinanced, and that was, we had
And that's what-
no big permanent improvement issues that we were looking at. There was no new buildings that we were looking at. Nothing in the foreseeable future of any new levies.
Right.
Not having.
So those were all factors that were put into consideration, where, like I said, they were taking a big picture, Ohio schools in general, Northeast Ohio, with businesses and home foreclosures, and
So do you think other schools were called at the same time?
Oh, they're
And I'm
As
sure they
they're
wouldn't
gonna be.
expect you to pass an operating levy.
Right.
You cannot pass.
or
It is
renewals.
beautiful.
Some have
Right.
trouble passing renewals in some cases.
And-
So, and that's what they kind of look at the big picture, and then they want to get some specific information. So, went pretty well. So,
And it was fun. I mean, he was on the computer as we were talking. First, I didn't sleep for a week, getting ready for this. I didn't make cookies for you guys. But he was on the computer as we're talking, and he said something about, we have one restaurant. We don't have, and you could hear him. And
He's
he
asking
goes,
about
"Is that
businesses."
Ben's?" And I went, "Wait, yes, it is. And you are more than welcome to come have lunch with me one day. I'd be happy to take you to Ben's." But it was kind of creepy because,
Sure.
he's like right there typing
Technology is
everything
scary.
and looking and seeing and where we're at. and-
Yeah. Like Brian said, good job, guys.
and then, did you get your invitation to prom? I think that was in your packet to prom. So, and you want to come watch your kids? Come help watch your kids. That's all I have, I think. We'll go to executive session.
She needs
Quickly.
a motion.
Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
I'll second.
So then we don't
I'll
have to...
say yes.
Oh, are we getting all the forwards?
I'm thinking, we're going to keep one?